game.
Now we have one more new world champion to crown this weekend. Your Cardfight Vanguard Standard World Champion is Soo Ho.
Hey yo, how's it going everyone? BANBOO's brother here. Today with a new video with our new CardfightVanguard Standard Champion, BANBOO. Woo! Woo! BANBOO! So, tell us about it. What's the whole deal?
So yeah, as you guys watched from the last video, we both went to Worlds. Entropy ended as 9th, and I was luckily able to snag the first place. It was great. I played Bob Sarva, met lots of wonderful people, lots of very competitive people, and I wanted to showcase some of the prizes we got, as well as do a quick deck profile, mention some of the more key, maybe slightly unique or different things, and then answer some questions.
Cool, awesome. Let's get straight to it. Let's talk pricing.
Yes.
Let's gotta show off first. What did you get from this run?
Yeah, so it was entry pricing was the energy generator, and then there was also a bunch of supply set, but then I sold those to Aegis. I think we'll have a video up shortly that has something similar to it, if not already. And then for top 8 and top 4, we got a special Hidero T. That is the special that has the text of the red over trigger that allows your Vanguard to restand. That's really cool. For first place, there is a certificate, and most importantly, the World Finals Champion Trophy.
Damn, this is like longer than the one we got for Toronto.
Yeah, so much bigger.
Damn.
And I think this one looks way cooler. The other one has a really cool, like, the mascot for the show. But this one is very simple, pretty, beautiful.
Legit.
Any other sentiments, legit.
Question. Is bigger better?
Bigger is better.
Damn, you heard it here first, folks.
And then for the last one, the one and only, very shiny Akina starter.
The one of one.
The one of one.
When they handed it to, it was already in this special casing already.
Yes.
Insane.
So I am very tempted to maybe buy a new one, like a bit newer and better case, just to stuck it in there, like the ones they use for PSA. And then who knows? Maybe I'll pick up a Keter deck for once, and then start using this starter to show off at people.
It's only for Keter, right?
It is only for Keter, unfortunately. I was really hoping it would be a Cray Elemental starter, but I guess with all the prizing, like the Akina generator, the Akina supply set, Keter Sanctuary over trigger, they want to gear things towards Keter Sanctuary.
It's funny because it's funny because Fenrir won premium.
Yes.
So, as much as a lot of people like Fenrir, they'll never have a max Fenrir deck now.
True.
Now that you have this in your hands.
Exactly.
You're the gatekeeper, bro.
Yes. Any Keter player will cry in front of the starter.
Sounds good. All right, let's go quickly through the deck list.
Yep.
I think it's pretty straightforward, but let's take a look into what's up and what you got.
Yeah. So now I'm gonna showcase the deck list. Honestly, there's not a lot of special things about it, so I'm just going to reveal or show the stuff that I think most decks should have. So you have your Rhyline, your Arms, your Persona, PGs. I think Cindy is super, super good. Way better than Shenri, Veilords, Trick Moons, your Triggers, obviously, and stuff like that. So for the more maybe tech options for this deck,
Quote unquote tech.
Quote unquote tech options, because I think there really isn't much else to do with this. The main special stuff is really the question of how many Apolloras and how many Vistias you're playing. I think some lists might play 4, but I highly believe that Apollora is really, really good, because especially in the mirror match, if they clear your front row, Apollora just comes back bigger and stronger, which is great. There's an argument between playing Divistia because it's a bigger body, and you get to look at top 7 to mill 2 cards instead.
One to hand, one to draw.
Yes, but I think just being able to consistently revive a body is better. The reason why I don't play 4 is because I think just playing 1 Divistia is good enough. You only ever need to see 2 people that revive, so that's perfectly fine. And then for the arms, Some people play one mace. I play two. I really like the consistency of mace. I think it is way, way, way better than the axe. Because the guard restrict is great, but it also doesn't really matter. You'd rather consistently see the mace, kill a back row, get +10, which is super important, especially if you didn't hit persona, or if you want to make sure to kill your opponent if they don't have a PG. The other benefit is that if your opponent 0 damages you, which happens quite a lot, especially in Worlds, being able to play a mace for free from hand makes it so that you can activate your Vanguard skill to soul blast 2 and retire the front row. So this is super important to do.
With the axe, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Because your ideal arm
Yes.
with the put a card from hand to soul, arm 1 from drop would be the shield.
Yeah, and
then
if your opponent does 0 damage you, if you're going first, you probably don't really think about it either because it's up in the air, right? When you use your grade 1 skill, you would usually add the shield to your hand and then discard to ride up. So in most cases, anyways, you probably won't even have the sword and drop if they do 0 damage you. So this is where the mace being a right arm deity is so much better.
I see.
Yeah. For the last tech option, which is a Regali piece, I think the Fire Wrigley is really, really good. Some people play ladder, some people play twin cast. I think the main issue with the deck is being able to see your Trick Moon or Cindy's. So Fire Wrigley being able to search for that card and unbrick your entire deck is so important. Worst case scenario, again, if your opponent 0 damages you, you can honestly call the mace from deck, I believe. Choose up to one card among them and reveal it if you didn't, and then if you reveal the card that is greater or less than or equal to your Vanguard, call it to rearguard circle.
So it's kind of like the same with Ava's grade 3 order.
Yeah.
It's call a card, so you try to call the order, it can't call, so it goes straight to the drop.
Yep, and then when you arm the shield with your Vanguard skill, you can call Cindy. Cindy goes in soul, you pick up the mace, and then you arm the mace. So it works great. Worst case, if you do really whiff, shuffle the deck, draw one. Right?
No, honestly, when we tested, we didn't even know that.
Yeah, so
That's pretty crazy. It's just so free. You can put into soul with Bob skill, and then soul blast it out, and then use it from the drop. Like, and all in the same turn.
Exactly.
The cost is not a cost.
yeah, it can also help you get your Divistier because Divistier is not a from hand skill.
It's on play skill.
It's not play skill, exactly. And there, if you really need a resend to kill someone, you know, you don't get to draw 2 with Yuga Mashad, but you still get a resender.
True. Question. So you mentioned quite a few Regali pieces.
Yes.
Which ones do you think were viable? And then was there a particular reason why you picked Fire Regali besides everything that you just mentioned?
So I don't think there's a other reason why I chose the Fire Wrigley. The other two that I mentioned earlier was Twin Cast and Ladder. Ladder is really good because if you fight into the mirror match, you can prevent your restanders from dying, right? But at the same time, if you're playing a Polera, then you don't really care if your front row dies. And usually in the mirror match, anyways, I would only ever call one restander unless I'm really trying to push and kill them.
And if you Racing Angel Ladder, you are protecting your pieces, but you're also giving your opponent one draw.
Exactly, because
which is one more chance to dig deeper into their deck for their pieces.
Because Buff Starga says Soul Blast 2, kill your kill opponent's front row. If you did not retire any cards, draw a card. So Ladder is not great in that regards.
How about Twin Cast?
Twin Cast, it follows the same idea as you mentioned. You know, put it in Soul Blast it, and then now it's in drop to actually use a free skill. But in most cases, right, against Buff Starga, the numbers are so big anyways that
the 15 that you get off Twin Cast is kind of redundant.
Exactly. You're gonna have to PG the Vanguard or OT the Vanguard. If not, you're gonna die, right? Twin Cast is really nice into the rear guards, I guess, but you have shield, so usually you don't need that much shielding potential.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go for some questions.
So let's talk about your run. Like, what were your matchups? What was your experience? You know, what kind of people did you play against?
So I think I had like most of my matchups were a mirror match. To no one's surprise, right? Bav's the best deck. If you don't bring it, I think you're automatically at a weaker spot. But you know, with some decks like Bat, Levy, or Rez, that weaker spot is not super significant, but there's still definitely a disparity, right? I think the most interesting matchup I had was Ava. I can't retire their front row when they place the Experiment Henceforth or whatever the grade 1 order is. That was really scary because her obfuscators will stay alive, right? I get to draw one with my Stargate skill, but 20k shield is still really, really big. but I think the matchup wasn't too terrible, right? Because you have shield. With the shield, you can probably survive the obfuscated 2 crit swings. With 1 shield and a 5k shield, you can usually block the Ava swing, right? So overall, you just slowly gain consistency back. They survive your turn because Ava is really tanky. You survive your turn because you have shield and a bunch of draws. So at some point, it just becomes like a game of deck out. And if it's not a game of deck out, then you should usually win because you have so much more aggressive action. The other deck I thought that was really interesting was Rezile. I think Rezile going first into Bastarga is really strong, especially because they can draw a lot. The main key thing I did was 0 damaging them, or more accurately saying that I prevented them from getting any extra damage for their grade 3 turn. Because if I'm able to limit how much they draw in their grade 3 turn by not being able to survive Dog and Oberus, then my grade 3 turn is significantly a lot better. So I think the usual goal is, if you find your Rezile, try not to deal 3 damage on their grade 3 turn, like their first one. And then when they're on their 4th turn, which is their Vita, if you push them to their 4th damage or 5th damage, try to have a plan against the Gab. And you know, if you really aren't sure you can actually survive that, then maybe you should take it easy, swing the rear guards, or just pass a turn while they're still free.
It's expensive to get countercharge in the deck, and you have the mace to actually punish them for leaving it on the board. So that's cool.
I think the last matchup that was the most interesting was the Bat matchup. The finals match, actually. So I went first, so everything should have went swimmingly, but my opponent played a really strange list to me, at least, because a lot of Bat players don't really play Perfect Guards or Kill Triggers anymore. They play the Effect Front that goes in Soul, and instead of playing PGs, they play more orders, right? Because more orders means a greater chance of popping off. So seeing him reveal top 5 with the monster order, and then getting that Perfect Guard, yeah, that scared the crap out of me. If I didn't hit that OT, that perfect timing, I probably would have lost, because frankly my hand was really bad. There was no triggers. Maybe I could have hit like a bunch of defensive triggers, but I probably would still fall over and die after that turn.
That's cool.
So, that is definitely really strong. There's a lot of rooms for error, especially after playing it in the Japan side for Dai SI and the Ultimate Cup. But there's when it, you know, it's honestly not that difficult for it to catch up again. And my opponent played it really well, I think, especially with how limited his hand was.
Okay, some burning questions. How much skill expression do you think is in standard at the moment? From a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being super skill intensive, and 1 being not skill intensive at all.
I would argue it would honestly be the higher side, like maybe 8 or 7. And the reason why is because people might say, oh, Unga Bunga Bat, Unga Bunga Ba. But with Bat, you need to know how to actually order your orders, I guess, right? Like what to discard, what to Mulligan for, how you should play your turn, whether or not you should go full blaster opponent, or whether you should not. Do you have your persona? If not, then do you have to risk it all here? Like, there's a lot of questions you have to ask in different stages of the game, and those decisions can honestly change whether or not you win or not. With Bapsarabra, yes, the deck is really simple, but at the same time, it's really easy for the deck to break apart, right? If you don't have your pieces like Trick Moon or Cindy. In those situations, how do you make the best of your situation? How should you construct your numbers?
What happens when you get damage denied?
What happens when you get damage
What happens
denied?
in the mirror?
Yeah.
We were testing the mirror, and it was so funky.
So when we were testing, right, we played the mirror match, and sometimes on your grade 2 turn, you would hit, by going first, you would flip the kill trigger, so you would kill the 1 damage that you would have had to use your grade 2 Radline skill to search for 2 orders in mill. And when that happened, it became kind of a weird grade 2 gaming situation, especially if none of the players have the mace. Because the only reason why you would ride up is if you have the mace to get the 2 crit, right? So that was a really, really interesting and funky interaction. I got really, really lucky and top drew into one of my maces for one of my Swiss games. So luckily that, grade 2 game didn't happen, but if I didn't draw into it, then I would have had to use that experience to play through that.
Nice. There's a lot of one-shot wonders in this world. but you got first back-to-back at a regional level and at a worlds level. Do you think there's a formula to your performance? And is there any advice you'd give to people? Like, you know, at this stage of your experience, you should do this. At that stage of your experience, you should do that. And then at the next stage, you should do this.
Yeah. So definitely there is, maybe not a formula, but a strategy to performing well, like in regionals or worlds, right? So, for example, we looked ahead into the format. Back when BCS Toronto or even Vancouver was revealed at the time and schedule, we would get ready to play set 4 and set 5 decks, right? All the way from November, we practiced set 5 or set 4, whatever it was. And then for Toronto, we started practicing right after Vancouver. So we had 2 months. We would print out cards and practice set 5 together. We would fight each other in different scenarios, right? Whether or not I'll zero damage you or I don't. And most importantly, I think the most important thing is to get out of your comfort zone, right? If you were to fight a matchup, once you're accustomed to going first and winning most of your games, try going second and only going second, or whatever the worst turn order is for you. Because if you're able to win by going second very consistently, then that should hopefully translate to winning going first, right? Because if you're able to win in the really hard conditions, then you should be able to easily win all the good conditions.
Yeah, same as their matchup, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people, I feel like, tends to go to locals to just play and I think that's practice. But what you're getting is matching 4 or 5 rounds Swiss with a random bundle of Jack and everything, from Jack decks to meta decks. And you're not getting like proper practice. You're not really seeing exactly what's going on with enough of a sample size. There's a lot of intuition and experience you build from locals, but you don't get accuracy and precision. And that's what you need going into a higher level event, is you need to sit down and you need to know, oh, you flip it over? Okay, I know exactly what I need to do to win. And I'm really proud that you were able to deliver with that approach. Obviously, it's a lot more effort. And you know, we've been playing since we were kids, but obviously playing competitively is very, very different from playing casually. And
instead of playing with commons and rares, we would actually play with triple rares for once.
What were the most important things you've learned throughout playing this game, from after getting back into it to now, that you felt like, okay, after I figured this out, I got to the next level. After I figured that out, I got to the next level. Like, were there like a few things that you can share with people?
I think the most important thing is being able to intuitively guess what your opponent has in their hand. This might sound really difficult, but honestly, it really isn't as hard as it sounds. Like, if your opponent discards specific cards to ride up, let's say a trigger, then you can maybe guess what could be in their hand, right? Is it triggers or is it units? If you know that it's a bunch of 5k shields, maybe it's a good idea to start rushing them early, because like you can make them flush out their units, I mean. If you know for sure or have a feeling that they have a lot of triggers, hitting for 8k means that they're going to have to either guard with 15 or take the damage and pray for defensive, right? But if their entire hand is triggers, the chance of them hitting defensive is honestly really low. This even works for later into the game, right? You should remember what they drive check, right? Like their twin drives. And then especially count how many PGs they've hit. Count how many cards are in their hand. Can you make a guess of how many perfect guards are in there? Usually you can assume that there's 1, but what's the chance they have 2, right? Count their deck, count their drop, look at their hand, look at their field.
Yeah.
How many times have they randomly drew? You can make a lot of assumptions through those.
Make educated guesses. I think for me, the biggest one's the mulligan. It's very telling. If they mulligan 5, then you know something is wrong.
Yes.
And you can assume that they're not going to be playing their game optimally. They're mulliganing 0. That should mean that they have exactly what they need, and that changes things, right?
Yeah, and if they mulligan 0, that means they have no triggers in hand.
Maybe.
Most likely.
Maybe.
So, you know, if you rush them, you can play at least
break their
them,
pieces.
Break their pieces. And I speaking of like breaking like their like face, like
it's the mental game.
Like the mental game. If you're able to watch your opponent and how they react when they play, sometimes that could be really telling and give you a huge hint about what could be happening in their state, right? In their hand, in their field. If you keep punching them early, and they start sweating, or let's say you arm a base, and then they start like darting their eyes, That could mean they don't have a perfect guard. Let's put another mace and then RMS sword, and then I'll swing with Vanguard first and see what happens.
That's true. Yeah, I think a lot of this stuff probably wouldn't make sense to people because they're probably still working on how to optimally play out their decks. But I think it matters a lot.
Yes.
Every single edge counts. Every single bit of information counts. Obviously, it's not going to 100% translate to like success because Vanguard's a luck-based game.
It is.
It's all about probability. 90% is a very high percent, but it's not 100%. And so that's the challenge. But yeah, I'm really happy that obviously you got first, which is crazy. But I'm gonna slide myself right in there. That I'm glad that our approach to the game has gotten us really far in a really short amount of time. And if anyone has any questions for BANBOO, obviously comment section is down there. Myself as well. If you bother asking me anything, I'm down
top
there.
9 premium. That's pretty good.
First try, yeah. If only someone failed deck check. God damn it. God damn it. Yeah, appreciate you for finding the time for this. BANBOO's on hiatus in vacation mode back in Hong Kong for the rest of summer. So if you're in town, go find him, say hi. And hopefully I'll see you back in Toronto for BSF 2025.
And for once, we'll be on opposite teams.
Ooh,
So
spicy.
let's see how it goes.
Let's see who's the better bro. You can say bye now.
Okay, bye now.
How do you feel, bro?
I'm feeling really good. I'm hella tired though, but happy that I fought someone that's great.
You're too good at the game.
Any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts. There you go.
I didn't think I would win today, and I did. Huge thanks to Chelsea and Clinton for giving me their stuff. Couldn't do it without them.
We start for top 8.
Yeah, everybody flushed up. Huge thanks to Entropy, my brother, because I got a lot of good practices. I got a glaze here. And yeah, very scared of that Rezal player. I hope I never fight him again.
Gigasack.
Gigasack, but I got lucky
okay.
this time. So,
Well,
yeah.
thanks for the glaze.
Won the game that
Good
mattered.
I
job.
won the game that mattered, exactly.
I'll see you at Worlds next year.
Yeah.
Well,
Hopefully you
we'll
come.
see you at Worlds next year.
Hopefully you come, otherwise I'm getting more content.